like I said, today we are moving on to a new chapter. We're skipping chapter 6. We're going right to chapter 7. And what I am going to teach you today should not be new. So label your notes. Chapter 7. It's actually 7.1, and we are going to be solving systems by substitution. Oh my God.
Yay.
You know what, in all honesty, I know when you learned substitution a couple of years ago, it's never, I think you were introduced to this when you had geometry. And truthfully, didn't really like it then. But with all the math that you've had since then, I believe that this stuff is going to actually seem refreshing in comparison to what you've been doing. So, when you are using substitution, all you are trying to do is figure out an x value and a y value that satisfies some given situation. So I am going to jump right to an example. And this example is x plus y equals 4 and x minus y equals 2. And we're starting off with a very easy example. I'm not going to actually make them too much harder than this to begin with. So if you are going to solve this using substitution, there are other methods to use this, but the method that we are going to concentrate on today is substitution. So your job when you use substitution is to solve for a variable, and then whatever you get for that variable, you got to plug it in and replace another variable with that. So, for example, you might decide that you are going to look at the very first equation, this one right here, and solve for x. Let's solve for x. If you solve for x in that equation, x plus y equals 4, what do you do? Subtract y. Very good. So you're going to subtract y from the left. You are going to subtract y from the right. So x is equal to 4 minus y. So if x is 4 minus y, you need to take that x and plug it into the other equation. So I'm going to go, now I'm going to take this x, and I'm going to put it in here. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I want this equation, this second equation, to all be written in terms of the same variable. I need to get rid of variables so that I only have one variable left. So I'm going to replace that x with 4 minus y. So I'm going to rewrite the second equation, not with an x. I'm going to write 4 minus y minus that y is equal to 2. Do you see what I just did?
Yes.
All right, clean it up a little bit now. We have 4 minus y minus y. What is 4 minus y minus y? It's going to be 4 minus 2y equals 2. Then you have to solve for y. So obviously more than one way to do this at this point. I think what I'm going to do is subtract 4 from the left. I'm going to subtract 4 from the right. That's going to leave me with negative 2y is equal to, what is 2 minus 4? Negative 2. And then divide by negative 2. So y is equal to, what is negative 2 divided by negative 2?
1.
So y is equal to 1. All right, now you have to go back and figure out what the x is. To figure out what the x is, all you have to do is go back to either one of your original equations, plug in that 1 in for y, and solve for x. Now, at this point, you can use the first equation or you can use the second equation. Because use things that make the most sense. The adding 1 avoids having to use negatives, it avoids having to subtract, so go back to the easy one. So this thing right here, kind of come up here to the top. It says that x plus y equals 4. Well, that means x plus the y value we now know is 1. So we have x plus 1 equals 4. You guys, what's x?
3.
X is equal to 3. So now, how do you write your answer? Well, the x is 3, the y is 1. So we need to write our answer as an ordered pair, x x comma y. How about if you have your phones out right now? I would appreciate it, just a respect thing to not have them out right now. All right, so this is our solution. This is how you should write your final answer. Is there anything that I can clear up here? Are you guys going, oh, this is so fantastic in comparison to what we've been talking about?
Yes.
All right. And you know what, you guys, truthfully, you should really go back and check to make sure that your answer works. So if you get a 3 and a 1, go back and make sure that that works with both your first and your second equation. Is 3 plus 1 equal to 4? Yes. And if you take 3 and you subtract 1 from it, do you get 2?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. All right. I have one more example for you. This one's a little bit trickier, but actually, I wouldn't even say it is trickier. I shouldn't have really said that. All right. Example. I know. All right. So we have 3x plus 2y is equal to -8, and x plus 3y is equal to 2. That is the system that we're starting with. We have to figure out what x and y is. What do I do?
Pick one first.
Yes, pick one. What are we going to solve for? Are we going to solve for x or are we going to solve for y? And in what equation are we going to do that in?
Might as well solve for y.
Yep. The bottom.
Solve for y in the first one. No, I like your idea better. You could certainly do that and it would work. But do you see how in this bottom equation, x has nothing in front of it? If x has nothing in front of it, you don't have to do that last division step. All you'd have to do is subtract what? Subtract the 3 y's. So my suggestion would be to do that. If you solve for y in the first equation, you're going to have to move the 3x over, and then you're going to have to divide both the -8 and the -3x by 2, which is going to get you, you're going to be dealing with decimals, and you want to do that. Sometimes you're going to have to, you're not going to have a choice, but if you can avoid it, avoid it. So let's solve for x in this equation right here. So we have x plus 3y equals 2. What do I do?
Subtract 3y.
Subtract 3y. So I subtract 3y from the left, I subtract it from the right, so x is equal to 2 minus 3y. Alright, so take that x value now, plug it back into the first equation. I also want to mention, you guys, when you solve for x here, don't take this x and plug it back into the same equation. If that happens, everything's going to cancel each other out. You have to put it back into the other equation, okay? So I'm going to take this x, I'm going to plug it in there. I'm going to rewrite this, so I have 3 times x. Well, x is 2 minus 3y, so I have 3. Notice my use of the parentheses. Distribute the 3 into the parentheses. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times -3y is -9y. Plus 2y is equal to -8. You okay with that? Combine your y's. So we're going to have 6. -9y and 2y combined together give you -8. Subtract, what am I going to subtract now? Subtract the 6 from the left, subtract the 6 from the right, so you are left with, don't forget little things like, students generally understand this concept, but it's like the positives and the negatives that they, miss here and there. Don't forget to bring that negative down with the 7. So we have a -7y is equal to -8 minus 6 is -14, and then of course you divide both the left and the right by -7. So what is y? Y is -14 divided by -7, which is a positive 2. So y is equal to 2. All right, now, the very first thing that we did in this problem was we solved for x. Right over here. X is equal to 2 minus 3y. You could, if you wanted to now, take this y value, this 2, and you could plug it in here. Or you could go back to the original equation. You decide. This x equals 2 minus 3y, that is a variation of this equation right here. So if you want to, just take that y, plug it in here, as 3 times the y value, which is 2. So what is 2 minus 3 times 2? Should be a negative 4. We have 2 minus 6, really, so we have a negative 4. So the solution to this problem is 2 comma negative 4.
Would it be the other way? Would it be negative 4 too?
The solution to this is negative 4 comma 2. Alright, wrote it backwards. Don't do that, you guys. Don't do what I did. Always alphabet. I always think of the x and y in alphabetical order. So, okay. So, questions? Anything that I can? Yeah. Over that. Yeah. Okay. Give me 2 seconds. All right. Yes.
Can you put it in the calculator?
No.
And find
No. You know what? And that's why I said one of the first things I said was there's so many ways to solve these. You can use substitution. You can use elimination. You can type it into your calculator. You can use matrices. Today I want you focusing on substitution. And there is a reason, especially for those of you that are going to go on to higher level mathematics, you have to be good at this. So this is the time when I am asking you to practice this skill, okay? All right.
Bye now.
Okay, and then on a test,
Messed me up.
on a test, if it says substitution, I'm going to be looking for substitution. You know, I don't want to just see the answer. Okay.